So as much as this channel's been about the Mustang, it's about to add another car to it. So I picked this guy up fairly cheap. I know what you're thinking. What am I doing going from a Mustang to a 1980 280ZX? Sometimes there's just opportunities that you can't pass up, and this was one of those. This is a really clean example of a 280ZX, complete, has the engine, transmission, has a aftermarket ECU, which I will need to hook up, so that will be part of it. And then we don't really know if the transmission or engine are in good shape. The interior is not too bad. You can see there, got some pretty deep buckets with some 5 points. Not rust anywhere on this car except for one place that I found, and that's at the end of the trunk lid here, or the deck lid. And what's happened is somebody let this go and it leaked down, and then you got the rust right there. But everywhere else, man, this thing is just a solid piece of machine. And they even sealed up the T-tops pretty well. I'll have to redo those, but they did seal them up with silicone, so at least it wasn't leaking in there. But I've read that the actual weather stripping on that's pretty expensive, so I'm gonna have to get that. Yeah, so I got my work cut out for me, but just gonna bring it home today. Just picked it up and bring it home and get started on it. All right, so I'm driving this thing home. Got my riding partner there. She's not hot, she's just a nervous rider. Always pants when we're in the car, but she likes riding with me. So as I'm driving this home, I'm thinking about like the fact that, you know, it's an 80s car. Yeah, I live in California, so I'm gonna have to smog it. That sucks. Jay Leno's law did not pass. That pissed me off because this car would have been exempt the first year. It's a 1980. But what do you do? You know, I grew up in the 90s. I became a teenager, so, you know, the cool kids had these cars handed down from their parents, you know, the cool parents. So it was like the cool parents had the 280ZX and they handed it down to their kid, and they were driving it in high school. So these are the cars that I wanted, right? And now it's on my trailer back here, and I get to fix it up and enjoy it. Can I do stuff to make it faster? Because these are kind of dog slow, let's be honest. Yes, you can. Even though there's California smog, there's still ways that I can make this fast. I could turbocharge this thing and still make it past smog. So as long as I keep the smog equipment, we could throw the turbocharger on there. We may have to get a ref to do certain things. I don't know. Haven't gotten that far, but you know, I'll do things to make it quicker. First things first, let's get it running. Have a little fun with it. Maybe fix up the interior. I showed you the interior. It looks nice. It doesn't smell nice. It's very musty smelling in there. So I'd like to get the carpet out of there, replace the carpet, and fix those door panels. There's some side panels in the back that need to be fixed as well. So make the interior look nice, and we'll see where we're at there. You know, I may end up flipping this. I'm not sure yet. At this point, I just want to get it running and see how it drives. Alrighty, so I got this in the garage. Now we're going to take a look at it. Looks like somebody already routed part of this EFI system, so I'm kind of untangling the wires here. So we got the EFI here. We got all the components in there. Looks like they got pretty much everything in there. Even got some nice wire covers and stuff. This is the display. This is the actual ECU here. Some sensors and adapters down here. So hopefully everything's in there. I haven't gone through everything just yet, so but it looks pretty complete. So got that. It looks like they already put the the intake pipe there. They had an aftermarket radiator with fans on it. And let's see. The only thing I'm worried about is somebody cut this harness, and I don't know if that's the engine harness or not, so I'm kind of hoping it is, but it heads over there to the battery side, so I'm not sure. All right, first things first. Hopefully my dog doesn't knock the thing over. So this is the, I think they called it the RPM module. So what this does is I'm going to hook the white wire to the negative side of the coil. That's going to give us our RPM signal. And then this double black wire is going to go to the engine block, so that'll give us a ground. Then that's going to go to the ECU and give us the signal to the ECU. So let's put that on. There's a signal wire in here for that. It should have the end on it if I remember right. Oh yeah, right here. So that end goes to the end of the yellow wire. Now I'm stuck in here. So these guys plug in together. This way, maybe. There we go. So now that's hooked up. So now all I need to do is get a ground on there. So I'm going to find a good ground for that guy somewhere in the engine bay, and then probably clean this up. Look, maybe do something like put that in there or there. So I got to figure out where I'm going to mount that, and then that should be good to go. We'll have a signal for our ECU. Okay, so next step, I'm going to go ahead and put the air temperature sensor on. So looks like we want to put it in right here somewhere. You just cut a little slit in this rubber boot and then shove that in and hook the wire up, and should be good to go. All right, just like that. So got a little slit in that, and then I put a little bit of a plus so it has a little more room, and then this guy actually gets in there pretty good and seals it up. So it should be good to go. Just now I have to just find the plug on this tangled ass mess and plug it in. Okay, next step, I'm gonna take this throttle position sensor off, and then there's a, I should have had this ready. There's a throttle position sensor in here with an adapter. Here's the adapter plate, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's the adapter plate, and then there's a throttle position sensor in there somewhere. And then we're just gonna replace those with what we got in there. There's a better look at the throttle position sensor after it's been installed. So the one thing that I did notice as I was putting it in is that there's the rod that comes out that goes into the back side of this, and it has a little flat spot kind of on the bottom, and just matched up so that this thing was sitting this direction. Just an FYI. So I was struggling a little bit with this idle air control valve. So essentially, this comes in three pieces. You have this little angle fitting here that this is going to go into a hose, and I'll show you that in a second. Connects to this. This is actually a little adapter piece that fit this to the actual idle air control valve, and then you put this little K&N filter on there. There's little holes all around this, so you're creating a controlled vacuum leak to be able to control the idle air, or to read the idle air. So at any rate, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces that you kind of have to put together. And then, like I said, that is going to hit go into this 5/8 hose. So I disconnected the 5/8 hose here. And what I'll do is I'll take this off. Goes up to the breather on the valve. this is kind of giving me a dilemma because that's your PCB, and I think I don't know if it's going to pass smog without that connected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and there's a breather kit that you can get to put on there. I'm going to buy that. That's like 35 bucks from Z-Part Depot, it looked like. And then I'll go ahead and put the other one on there, and hope to hell they pass me on smog. I live in California, and I just doubt they will. So I'll have to figure that out. All right, so I got the map just plugged in right now. I'm gonna go ahead and I think I'm gonna try and mount it to, there's these empty screw holes right here. So I'm gonna try and mount it to that. I just didn't find a bolt that was, I found some that were the right thread, but not the right length. I don't think I'm gonna get, it doesn't look like I'll get two bolts on there. Let's see. So I think I'm just gonna have to put it on like that with one, maybe off to that side or one off to this side, one or the other. Whether that's the greatest thing or not, I don't know. The other option is I can just turn it around here and mount it to the inner fender. So those are my options right now. Right now I'm just gonna set it off to the side. We'll see if this thing starts with that just sitting there. And then down here, you can see this is your connector for the O2. I'm gonna go ahead and plug that into the O2 sensor, which is right here. I have to route that down there, and then everything on this side will be connected. I think I'll be, well, except for the coolant temperature. I'm gonna hold off on that because it's gonna make a mess. But I just want to get that connected. I'll plug in the computer in there, and then get the battery hookups on there, and just see if it fires for right now. And then I got a couple other things I got to do before I do that. I have to drain and change that oil, and then I got to drain and put some good fuel in there. Alrighty, just a quick recap of what I did yesterday, getting back to it. Day 2 of this. We got the RPM signal deal right here, connected to the coil and the ground, and then back to the harness. Got the MAP sensor. I think I mispronounced that earlier. We got the cold air temperature, or the air temperature sensor right there. I teed off right here for the MAP sensor. So I found this hose that goes over, looks like to a canister over there, so we should be okay on that. I got the injectors all plugged in, and now, and I got the oxygen sensor plugged in. So now I need to figure out power. There's a positive and negative over there for the ECU, and then I believe this pink wire is, yeah, that's the 12 volt switched. So I need to get a 12 volt switch to that. All right, and I'm just gonna throw the eye connectors on these guys. All right, this is a vindication of keeping random shit that most people would throw away. So I had this little connector in my spare electrical drawer, and it connects right up to this guy here, which is, I found switched power on that, and this was just hanging out here. I mean, I might need that at some point because shit's not working, but at this point, it gives me switched power for the for the ECU. So what I'll do is I'll connect this guy up, and I believe it's I'll double check it, but it's this top blade here, and this top blade will go in there. I'll connect the pink wire out of the ECU, pink wire, to that, and then I should have my switched power. All right, now I got my crazy dog jumping on me. Anyways, got my connector, so that's going to connect up to that little blade. I didn't cut this cable at all, that way if I have to use some more, then I'll figure it out if I have to cut this off and redo it. So I'm just gonna loop that up, zip tie it somewhere up in the dash, and it'll be out of the way. All right, so this is where I'm at. I got a new battery so I can get good clean power. I'm tired of dicking around with it. I got it on there kind of my janky little way, my janky little way with these things, and still didn't get good power. So I'm running this cable now, nice new cable down to the starter. I'm gonna get that on there, and then I'll redo the negative cable as well. I believe I have one laying around. If not, I'll have to go run and grab the length you want to cut it, strip it back. So right about there. And I'm gonna want a pretty good sharp knife for this. It's easier than trying to use the strippers because this wire is so thick. And now you can see it's kind of separating. And what I do is I typically will just take a straight line like that, and then it'll just peel right off once I get through it. If it doesn't loosen it up enough to just come off. There we go. So now it's off, and all I have to do, give it I went opposite there. So I'm gonna give it a good twist, and then I'll feed it into there, tighten this down. We should be good on that. All right, I got those two little short black wires crimped onto these longer red wires. I like having the positive all be red so you can see what's up. As a matter of fact, we have the one from the ECU that we will be hooking up. I'm gonna hold off on that one though for now until I know I have good clean power everywhere. But don't forget, kids, put your shrink wrap on. I'm gonna throw this on over the crimps there. I'll heat shrink that. I said shrink wrap, heat shrink. I always call it shrink wrap. I'm gonna throw those on there and then shrink those down, and then I'll put some little O's on here. So these little guys, like so. I think that might be a little bit small for this though, so I'll have to check. I might have to get a different one. So I'm gonna do that, shrink them down, and then go from there. All right, I finally got back around to getting this coolant temperature sensor in. So that's in now. So now what I'm fighting is that the fuel pump doesn't shut off. So when I put the car into the on position, you can hear the fuel pump running. Should run like 3 to 5 seconds, but it continues to run. I can turn it off, it turns off, but I gotta figure out what's going on there because it's flooding the engine essentially. My thought on it is that it is getting either a bad signal from everything that I've read says it's either a bad signal from the alternator, which is down there, or the oil oil pressure gauge, which is down there. So I may swap out the oil pressure and see if that helps when I do the oil, and if that doesn't help, then yeah, we'll see where we're at. So I'm not gonna swap that oil pressure sensor, or yeah, the pressure sending unit. What I'm gonna do, and I think this is probably my best bet, is to take, there's a way you can hook the ECU, the new ECU from fast EZ-EFI, and run the fuel pump with that. And I think that makes the most sense, because then everything's kind of, all the fuel's on one system, you know. I'll probably need to get a relay for it. There's a little kit that I can use as well from Fast that I can probably purchase online or whatever. So I'm going to look at that. In the meantime, everything I've read is that these things will run even if the fuel pump's just running and running. So I'm going to go ahead and swap the oil, get that done, and then I'm going to hook up the rest of the ECU and see if it runs, because I really don't even know what condition this engine is in or anything. So we'll go from there.